So Conor McGregor was sparring with Paulie Malignaggi, and he put his hands behind his back, Roy Jones style. Now, what do we make of this? Now, first of all, a picture does not say 1,000 words in this particular situation. Now, because for all we know, they could just be posing for a picture or something, man. And as far as I'm concerned, if McGregor really did lay a beating on him, then he would have released the actual footage instead of just a picture. But they could be doing this. They could be releasing that photo just to build up some publicity and then planning on releasing the video a little bit later. So really, we don't know just yet. Now, if you really want to just analyze that picture, the first thing you got to do is just look at McGregor's history of putting his hands behind his back in his MMA fights. Now, at the time that Conor McGregor put his hands behind his back in the Eddie Alvarez fight, he was in total control of that fight. Before he did that shit, he had knocked Alvarez down 3 times. Alvarez was missing with his punches. He was missing with his kicks. He was trying to take Alvarez to the ground, and McGregor was defending the takedowns real well. Now, when we look at McGregor's psyche as a fighter, he has an enormous amount of confidence during the fight. He's real cocky, and he carries a very fearless attitude while he's up in there, and that's not something that every single fighter possesses, believe it or not. Did he tie his hands behind his back against Nate Diaz? He has such a lack of respect for his opponent, and he's thinking, hey, I done knocked you down 3 times. You can't stop the straight left hand. You miss with your right hand. You miss with your left hook. You miss with your kicks. You can't take me down. And he just like, fuck you. I ain't even got to have my hands out to fight you. I can show off and get away with this shit. Now, he only did it for a small second, so you have to take that into consideration as well. He just did it for a quick little second, then he put his hands right back in front of him. Now, when you look at that Eddie Alvarez fight and you look at everything that occurred leading up to that point where McGregor felt comfortable enough to put his hands behind his back, you gotta ask yourself, why would he do the exact same thing against Paulie Malignaggi? Now, obviously, it would be a whole lot easier if we had the video, but we ain't got the fucking video. So all we got is a picture, and we can't help but just wonder. I really don't want to read too much into it, but for those of you who've actually been in the ring before, or if you have boxing matches, or if you had MMA fights, or even if you just sparred, if you look at that picture and you look at Paulie Malignaggi's face, you can actually see the fatigue in his face. He really does look tired in that picture. Now, he is out of shape, as he has admitted, but with him being tired, perhaps, just perhaps, Conor being a little bit more fresher and having a little bit more energy, maybe that played a role in why McGregor felt comfortable enough to put his hands behind his back like that. Maybe. He might have felt so loose, so confident, and so cocky, and just felt like he didn't have anything to worry about that was in front of him, because Malignaggi's tired, and perhaps he wasn't at that time. Now, what I hear a lot of people on the boxing side say is, even if Conor McGregor is doing well against Paulie Malignaggi in sparring, then that doesn't really mean anything as far as his potential success or his potential lack of success against Floyd Mayweather. And I'm going to have to disagree with that. Everything that we know about the history of the sport, everything we know about the ladder that you have to climb to get to the top level of the sport, everything tells us that there's no way that a guy with no pro fights has the chance to last 12 rounds with a guy like Floyd Mayweather. But if Paulie Malignaggi did have his hands full against Conor McGregor, if he was getting hit with some of McGregor's shots, if he was having any kind of trouble hitting McGregor with his own shots, if that's the case, then we have to look at Conor McGregor in a different way. Like maybe he's not as average as what we thought. Now, there was a lot of people who were looking at the Conor McGregor sparring video against Chris Van Heerden, and they were saying he looked like total garbage. And there weren't that many people who looked at that footage except me and said, you know what? He does have a few good boxing tools. At least offensively he does. He did land a few power shots against the professional boxers who had been in the ring with Errol Spence. Now, defensively, he better not do that shit against Floyd Mayweather. Conor McGregor, He already has a real bad habit of dropping his hands after he throws a punch. He does it in MMA, and he did it in the sparring against Chris Van Heerden. And that's really going to cost him if he do that shit against Floyd. One thing he likes to do, he likes to throw a jab and drop his right hand. He throws a 1-2 and he drops both his hands. Now, he does that against Floyd Mayweather. Mayweather's probably going to catch him with that 2-3, which is a straight right hand followed by a left hook. I mean, we can kind of just look at that picture and kind of try to envision what was going on in there. It's based on Conor McGregor's psyche as a fighter and his history. But really, at the end of the day, without the video, we don't really know shit.